Alright, I think that's it. We are now live streaming. Okay. So I guess first thing on our agenda are introductions and meeting protocols for a small group, but let's go around anyway. So
Should you want me to take notes again, or does anybody else want to? I mean,
yes.
I don't have any
Do you mind?
planner on the market. No, I don't mind.
That would be great. Yeah.
My notes are sort of free flowing, as you notice, but
That's fine.
better than nothing.
So I'm Kim, and I'm chairing this working committee.
I'm Colleen Gillum.
Katie Bryan, resident.
And I'm Ann Leslie.
My name is Jason Putnam.
Elsa Strasburger from Lincoln County Regional Planning Commission. Okay.
Nice to meet you.
Look at that, flying through the agenda. So, review notes from the last meeting. I don't even think they are attached here. It was basically about our, whatever work we were gonna do. If you guys are fine with just tabling that until the next time, and I can, our last meeting was canceled because of the weather, and so, that's my excuse for this being poorly organized. Okay, so then update our inventory list. So we're going to review the sections. And so what we were supposed to have updated are these sections here. So the first one, and I'm thinking like with the people who are absent, maybe we just skip their section.
Yeah.
All right, so this is going to be a brief meeting probably. So historic and archaeological resources, that was going to be Alan. Carla and Zach were taking on population, housing, and the economy.
And one thing Carla said to me, because I said, "Are you going to the meeting?" And she said, "Be sure to say that, you know, I still want to be involved."
Good.
So I thought I would just report that.
Yeah, she had made a comment to me too that I want to bring up when we get to the bottom of our agenda where we review the process.
Okay.
So I'll just wait till we get to review the process.
Okay.
So then that brings us to natural resources,
Yes.
which is Kevin and Ann. Do you have?
Well, I would like to just say where we are, as I understand it. I unfortunately I can't share. Can any of you? We can't get on, right? We can't get onto the shared doc.
Yes, this is the
You
shared
can?
doc. Yeah, this is it here.
Oh, well then.
And I don't know if did you make changes in?
I made comments, but
Okay.
I'm not. Oh, there they are. Okay. So anyway, where I am is just having reread the sections, and Kevin and I divided up. There are 11 different subsections in the natural resources chapter.
Yes.
So Kevin took about half, and I have taken about half, and we've both started reviewing and contacting people, although I haven't made updates in this file, because I'm still waiting to hear from some of the people I contacted, and that's no fault of theirs, it's because I only contacted them recently. And basically I realized that one thing we haven't really gone through in the process, which I realized in rereading this, it started to come back to me, but for these sections, for all of our sections, we need to have inventory and analysis, existing laws and management protecting tools, shortcomings to existing laws and threats. And so I guess it was just my mental tuning in to realize, oh, I've got to look at each of those subsections, each of those subsections within these. I can't remember whether yours have these breakouts by. They don't?
I don't think that, no.
Okay.
Nope, they don't. Not the ones that I've looked at so far. And so.
So if you look at natural resources, you can see that under every subheading, you know, soils, topography, surface water, there are 4 sections: inventory and analysis, and then you go down and there's existing laws and management protection tools, and then shortcomings, and then threats.
Oh.
And that was, this started to come back to me in my murky middle-aged mind, that was the way we were trained, you know, to do each section that way, so there was some consistency
Yes.
from section to section. So that was kind of a, that's something we should think about, you know, whether we're gonna continue on with that. And are you sure it's not in the other sections?
It's not in the two sections that I did.
You didn't have, okay, so maybe it's because this chapter's so big and long, and maybe the planner who was helping us was trying to help us put all the information in some digestible way, which I thought was a pretty good format, but it is going to be time consuming. I mean,
Yeah.
some of the stuff I zipped right through and I was like, oh yeah, that hasn't changed, that hasn't changed. And like wetlands haven't changed it, but the laws may have changed and our town laws and regulations might have changed. So it's going to take a while.
Yeah.
I did get, John O'Connell gave me some good names to talk to about marine resources, because that's an area that neither Kevin nor I felt like we had any knowledge or expertise in. And so I've got calls into 3 or 4 different people, which will help with that. But the other stuff, the other good thing I discovered is that I remembered that we used these great, and tell me how you say your name again.
Elsa?
It's such a pretty name. I've seen it written and I thought it was so beautiful. You know all about these beginning with habitat maps, I bet. And these were put together, when we did the last comp plan, we had this whole set of incredible maps from a group of nonprofits and government agencies that were sharing information about natural resources and trying to help towns guide their growth in a way that would protect natural resources. So I was really excited because they are, even though the state planning office disappeared, they are now back in action under the auspices of the Department of Inland Fisheries and Wildlife. And so this wonderful woman sent me this incredible group of maps that shows wetlands and deer yards and all kinds of stuff like that. So now I just got these, they just arrived, but I need to compare these maps against the old information that we have and see if things have changed.
So you're gonna compare those maps against the text?
We should have reflected, like I was looking at the deer yard section here and we said, there are some deer yards in this part of town and that part of the town. And so I know that deer yards especially are sort of mobile. I mean, and so I think I have to sync the, I think I just have a copy of the old maps too, but I think I will just go check these maps against the text, because the text is what the townspeople voted in. But you can see
Wow.
all these rare plants, listed animals, significant wildlife habitats, undeveloped habitat blocks. It's really an amazing resource. And this is,
Are they all the same or are those all different maps?
no, they're different. They're
And
different.
this is from the Inland Fish and Wildlife.
Yeah, it used to be from the town planning office, but this one is watersheds.
So that's the one right on the main.
And these
drag,
are new
basically, correct?
fish?
And these are, yeah, she said these are the latest ones. No, they don't guarantee that they've got every single thing on them, but like I remember this, you know, down on the shore of Cushman Cove. These are significant wildlife
See there, that's the bald
areas.
eagle that stopped,
Yeah.
that stopped the
The
bypass.
bypass. Yeah, I thought it was up here. I think it was this one.
That's
Because
funny.
remember the
They've got
bridge was
this
gonna
pretty
go up
big.
here.
Great blue here.
But they're really cool maps.
Wow.
And I bet you can look at them online, and if I find that out, I'll share the link with you, because I think that you would all enjoy looking at Wiscasset in this way. Thank you. For the runaway map. I'm not sure what the next one is. But anyway, this will be helpful to us.
Wow, yeah.
It's an incredible amount of information.
Oh,
So
wow.
These are undeveloped blocks of land of a certain size. Of certain sizes, I guess it looks like. But anyway, they're kind of neat, I think, and we should probably, I'll make sure, I mean, these will belong to the town of Wiscasset. You know, when, maybe I should even have them down here, during the compound process, so if anyone else wants, or maybe I should just make sure people know that they can call them again. So, wait a minute, where was I? Let's see.
One more.
So you're gonna compare the maps to the breakout
So
points on
I
this?
just want to make sure that the latest information is reflected. I'll do this later. Sorry. I just want to make sure the latest information about natural resources is reflected in our text. And some of it hopefully hasn't changed, but some of it may have changed. And then,
Certainly the laws probably
yeah,
will
the
have.
laws,
I
yeah.
think that would be interesting to look at the shortcomings of the existing laws in 2008 and then.
Yeah, and now, I mean, I think the laws have evolved somewhat in 10 years, so it'll be interesting to see. And then the other question I wanted to bring up to you is, I see here on page, this was another thing I'd kind of forgotten about, but on the very first page of the natural resources section in paragraph 2, it says, in the recent comprehensive plan survey. And I remembered, oh yeah, we did a whole town survey asking people something like 15 or 20 questions about their priorities for how the town grows. And I suddenly thought, should we be talking about that again?
Yeah.
Should we be doing that again? And having, so that's something else we should think about.
Yeah, the survey is in there. I think it's posted up on our website too, the survey results.
The original questions.
Yeah, and the
Yeah.
results.
And the results, but of course those are 10 years old
They're 10
now.
years old. No, we would need to redo it.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Probably have to redo. Okay, and then, hold on, there's one other thing. I started thinking of all the different topics that we did not address in the natural resources section 10 years ago, and realizing that there's going to be more now. Where did I put?
Like what?
Like invasive species and rising sea levels and things that have happened in between.
And the laws that have changed, wasn't there the law that riparian laws, where the mud flats are actually private property, or not the mud flats,
Oh
but
yeah, the
certain areas?
intertidal zone.
Yeah, intertidal zone is
that-
private property, not
yeah.
public property.
That has definitely
Which will stop
changed.
seaweed harvesters and could potentially let people stop
Yeah.
diggers of various sorts being out there. But I think that also leads to the big question is if that's your private land, then isn't your land bigger?
Yeah,
And does that impact your property taxes?
I know. So
If
that's
it's private land, then.
at least,
They don't go backwards. If you find out that you lost a piece of land after all this time, you found out you thought you owned this 40 feet and it's actually your neighbor's, and it gets resurveyed, your taxes don't go down.
yeah,
It's still based on what that is, but if you get more, so
Then you're-
anyway,
yeah.
just imagine it would go away.
Yeah, so there are a lot of different issues that get triggered by that. So that's something I hope we'll get, I mean, we won't solve that, but to cite it in the law, in the section of laws would be good. But yeah, I was thinking about invasives. There are invasive plants a lot more now. And then of course there's browntail and ticks and invasive plants like bedstraw in fields, and the emerald ash borer is now in Maine. Climate change, weather patterns, sea level rise, energy conservation, which hopefully will have an energy section, but that obviously there are overlaps in this section. The Lincoln County composting program, I don't think existed then. I don't remember talking about it. And the changes in the recycling industry, the rise of ATVs, light pollution on Route 1, water quality, diminishing numbers of birds, the Monspeak Dam Preserve work, which still is not finished.
This is all your list.
This is my list, I'm just freewheeling, thinking about stuff that I need to include in here. Gardner Pond, again, still unprotected. And then the Point East land, which at the time of the last plan, we all thought one thing was gonna happen and then something else happened. And the Wiscasset Farmers Market. So these are just things, you will have other things probably to offer to me, but it just triggered to me that this is a huge section.
It is a huge section.
And that's good. I mean, that's fun, but it may take a while.
Yeah. Okay. The questions, the comments that you have on the side, are they for you and Kevin, or is there anything along here that I should jump in and try and
Good
respond to
question.
you?
I think the survey you already answered, that was one question I had about, should we do a survey?
I think we should,
And
later
think-
though.
yeah, I mean, I think it would lend more credibility to what, when we get into doing a future land use plan. But even, like I noticed here, Kim, on this first page, we drew on the survey results to frame this section. We said in the recent survey, 80% of respondents favor balancing property rights with the need to protect interior yards, wildlife habitat, et cetera, 82% agreed they wanted to protect natural areas such as wetlands. So really, a lot of this was rooted in what the townspeople said.
So I feel like this section is a little bit different than the way that I had understood the inventory list. So in my mind, the inventory was just just a basic listing of what we currently have. This is what we have now, and wouldn't include any vision or plans or hopes for the future. No strategic planning would be included in that inventory part. It would just be basically, this is where we are currently. And
Yeah.
then later in the comprehensive plan document, there are the visions, goals, and strategic plans. And the inventory items section don't seem to be consistent. So some of them are
That's
written.
interesting.
Yeah, well, I think maybe just a lot of different people worked on it.
Yeah,
and there
well, we
wasn't
had someone
one.
overseeing it. I mean, I think some subjects lend themselves to quantitative inventory. And
Right.
some subjects don't lend themselves to that and require more of a narrative. But
Yeah.
this is just in the intro to this section where this
I see it.
survey.
So I wonder when they did the survey the last time around. I wasn't part of
Before,
that
it was,
process.
I think it was before the plan. I think it was like one of the early steps of making the plan.
Is this the first plan?
This was I think this is based on the most recent plan. I think the survey was done, but we'll have to check.
I mean, this is the 2010.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
Was there a 2000 and a 1990 and a 1980? When did they start doing it?
there was one before,
It wasn't
this
2010
one.
though, it was 2008, right? This plan?
8, okay.
this was 8, and I think there was one plan before that too, because I worked on 2. One was with Holly Dominy was the planner we used, and the second one was with Esther Lacanato. So I think these survey results, I think this was leading into the making of the second plan. But I will look into that. I'll make myself a note about that. But to answer your question, Kim, the notes on the side are kind of placeholders for me.
Yeah.
But if anybody has anything to add, anyone obviously is free. It's just me. I had it on a separate doc, and then I thought, no, I should put these notes. I just did it right before I came down here. I should transfer these over to the shared doc so people can see what I'm thinking about. And
I'm trying to get to our,
the whole big thing.
yeah.
Yeah, I know. I meant to bring a copy of that in here. I didn't.
Plan.
Yeah, I mean, just to kind of weigh in as a planner.
Yes.
You want to have the survey pretty early on in the process, and you want to have it out there for people to answer questions, possibly while you're doing some of the data collection work
Okay.
for the inventory. So I would think you want, if you're doing a survey, which I would recommend, you want to establish your survey questions and get that out there pretty quickly.
Okay.
Maybe do some preliminary, analysis of what's changed, what additional questions might we want to ask. But maybe at the next meeting, look at evaluating the old survey, deciding what questions need to be added or deleted or changed, and then figuring out how you're going to distribute the survey, which you would hopefully want to do both online and on paper.
Yeah, like in the newspapers and online and.
Having it available in multiple places so that if somebody wants to come to town hall and fill it out in person, or the library, or even some of the downtown businesses, the Chamber of Commerce, you can have some paper copies available so that people who don't have online access or
Can
aren't
fill them
comfortable
out.
using their computer can
Yeah.
do it. And since our office is in Wiscasset, we could definitely have some copies and, we have the National Digital Equity Center downstairs, so we.
Your
have people
office
who-
is here?
Yeah, we're like 297 Bafford.
She's where Mary Ellen is.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So if you-
Chamber of Commerce. So that would be one place, but you also want to have some downtown or in walking distance for people that live downtown.
What about mailing it? Is that too expensive for, I mean, I know, to
Well, we
mail,
have some money.
I think it costs about $1,000 to mail something to
Yeah,
residents.
we have $20,000 that we can spend, and I really didn't wanna, like, rely on consultants to rewrite this thing, or, but
No.
I could see mailing out
I
a
just
survey,
wondered.
like, that would be a good use of
Well,
funds.
maybe we should look, we should look back and see what we did the first time. I
So,
can't remember. if it
yeah,
was
I don't know how
done.
you did it, but this is it. So if you, this is on our website, and in the 2008 comprehensive plan, if you scroll down to the bottom of that, under appendices,
Appendices.
and this is basically what is in the document, so.
Actually, wasn't the survey though, Kim. That was a huge meeting we had at the high school, maybe you were there, I don't know. That we had a huge meeting of 75 people turned out to go to this WWW meeting. I don't know if any of you were there. It was called What Do You Want Where in Wiscasset, and it was so much fun. We did this
So-
whole brainstorming stuff, but that is not the survey. The survey happened before that, and it was like 15 or 20 questions. I know I have a copy of it somewhere.
We should find that then.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering if it's at the bottom of this, so this is all just all right, we'll come back to
I
that
will
when we
look
talk
for it.
about, our process.
Okay.
We need to-
Mm.
So, for now, Anne, do you have anything else on
I
natural
don't
resources?
think so. In other words, I'm midstream. I'm probably less than midstream, but I'm in.
Do you want more
action.
help? Do you want more people?
I mean, I would love to, I keep thinking, I'm gonna see if I only really know 2 people who are actively farming, the Birchsteads and at Shawanki. And I'd love to get those farmers to look at the farmland section of this. So in that sense, I would love, it's that kind of specialized help that
Yeah,
I can do my best, but maybe what I should do is I did give the Birchsteads a head up, give them a heads up that we're working on this, and maybe say to them, when I draft something, would you review it? If you don't want to work on it outright, just to see if I'm on the right track.
I think that's a good idea.
And maybe forest land, the same. I need to think of somebody. Maybe Midcoast Conservancy would have someone who knows about forestry who could help too.
Mhm.
Because I definitely am not an expert in all these areas.
Okay. Jumping back, then the next section was section 6, which was the public facilities and services section that a lot of us worked on together. And so I was clicking around in there today, and I had comments. So, this plan, or this inventory, refers to the capital investment plan, is incorporated in the appendices, which I actually didn't find it in the appendices, and then it also refers to a Wiscasset School Department capital investment plan, which is available at the superintendent's office, so that's not a part of this, and I was, thinking we just need to update that, so I need to get a hold of our latest capital investment plan. I don't know that we've done a capital investment
At the
plan
school?
at the school or at the town.
Or at the town level.
I have no idea about the school, but I think at the town level,
This is, they did a capital improvement plan in 2017, Dwayne gave me this. So it has
That would be helpful.
yeah, so if this is the latest one, then this would need to go into our,
But it's not uniform, like some of the departments planned out for 1 year, where another department planned out for like 8 or 10 years in that
Yeah.
document, so it's really inconsistent.
yeah, so I think last year at budget time, we didn't even really look at maybe we looked at this, but we had so little money to put towards it that.
So who wrote that?
It looks like every department did this.
Town department.
Yes, yeah, these are town departments.
So they
You
cleared,
got it from who?
I got it from Wayne,
Oh,
that Parks
It's
and
probably
Rec.
on our website someplace.
right.
And then, let me see, I'll just jump down. We have the anonymous quagga. It shows you who else is on there. So anybody can view, and so people who are viewing are anonymous, but then those of us who can, who make changes, our names show up on there.
So is this like Wikipedia, anybody can jump in here and mess with the text if they? get
No,
it?
only us. So we have editing privilege, but.
In these docs, in this, in
In
the
these
Google Docs that
docs,
you sent?
and then other people are able to view it. And so then if you want to see, because I went in and I made changes, I typed right over the document, so this button here shows us the full history, and you can see Colleen was in there today, I was in there today, and I made some edits. And I just went in and started like just deleting stuff that was dated because we don't need it. So let me see if I can find an example. Please.
So if I'm in there now, based on what you said, I can just start typing over?
You can, yeah.
How does it work like I'm right now? I tried to do
If you place your cursor wherever you want it.
That's what I just did.
So I don't think you're in,
Looks just
are
like
you
a
in
Word
this right
document.
now? Are you being on
Yeah, I'm
this
looking at the
product?
exact same thing as you.
If you place your cursor.
But I don't have all this, I just went to the docs, I got in with the docs you sent.
You should be able to type now.
Oh, I
You've got a
see.
sign in thing there.
Oh,
so if you
okay.
sign in-
Yeah.
I'm not gonna do it, I
Because
just.
if you're anonymous,
Yeah.
you can't, because before November 10th, it was set up that you could, and then I went to look at the changes, and there were all these changes
Oh,
by anonymous
yeah.
users.
Oh,
I was like,
really?
ah! So I quick shut
Oh
that
my
down.
gosh,
Yeah, that could be
Not
crazy.
too many,
Oh,
like
that's
nothing
interesting.
major,
Yeah,
but.
but you want to be able to
Oh,
track
I
them for
see.
sure.
But you can see all of the edits that
Yeah.
were ever made, and then these are copies, they're not the original documents, so
Yeah.
I don't worry
Good-
too much
good point,
about.
good point.
But I went in today and I just added, I added conservation committee down to school board because those things weren't listed on our boards and committees, so I updated that. I feel like this section is more easy to update than
Yeah.
your section or than the economy
Yeah.
section or
Yeah.
population section. So this is something we're working towards. And major town properties, this whole table probably needs to be looked at by somebody right here in the town office.
And just because I saw the open space and stuff, we did determine probably 3 years ago that any of these open spaces that are in the ordinance review committee, like the little triangle of land across from the quick stop next to, Dan, that's part of the town common. It's
Okay.
open space, so that's why you can't put signs there, they'll disappear, like
Okay, interesting.
by the church, by the courthouse, that little piece of land next to the ledges, that piece of land, those are all technically part of the town common.
And, oh, that's interesting, so that would relate to my open space.
Yeah, I just saw open spaces there, and I was
Inventory.
like, I don't know which ones there were exactly, but that just triggered that in my mind, that's why if you put any sort of sign up without permission,
Yeah,
they
that's,
disappear, and they end up behind the little shed right here.
But it's interesting because
I don't think we did
Like,
put that in there. That's
this doesn't have, it doesn't appear to have all of the open space. It doesn't seem to have the common, in front of the Congregational Church. Unless this is that town, no,
Town
that's
park?
Sunken Garden. So
Yeah.
it would be good if this section made more sense, if they were listed, like Sunken Gardens is detailed out. It would be good if all those comments were put in there.
Town park,
Um,
open space, softball, open space, softball.
And then, let's see, I know, Alan did some updates in the fire department section, but then I highlighted this today because that's dated, so obviously that needs to be changed, right? According to the 2005 annual report, like anything that's in here just needs to be like overwritten and updated. I know he did change the number of members. So back in 2008, there were 40 members. And that number is changed to 18. Now, I actually had my class here today and we met with the new chief, Bickford, and he told me there were 20, so we could overwrite that. But
It's
I don't
so
think that
interesting
they-
though, bylaws say there has to be at least 20. I have a copy of their bylaws from when they used to have a public safety committee. Get those out, but I mean, I'm sure Bob probably has them too.
So there's a minimum.
Unless they've changed the bylaws, which I highly doubt that they.
Minimum
did.
amount of firefighters.
I know there's a maximum
There's a
amount.
maximum and a minimum, I'm pretty sure.
Maximum's 45.
Yeah, but I always think that there was a minimum, and I'll have to look at it. Interesting.
So I told them if I don't win my seat on the select board, I'm going to be volunteering at the fire department. I figured I'm sure to get everybody's votes. It's a bad joke. Unless you want to see me down in the fire department. I'll probably get in trouble for that. This is on YouTube. Stupid joke. Anyway, so all of these, I feel like I'm still working on this section. I know I only picked up the, what did I do? I did this Public Works and Highway, and I think I did a pretty good rewrite of this section. And updated the staff and updated the equipment in the trucks. And this is actually current, this 1995 GMC truck with plows anticipated to be replaced. So by the time we actually get to finalizing this, that truck might even be gone, because he's probably gonna put it forward for replacement soon in the next year or two. I felt daunted when I looked at going through all of these documents because some of them, it looks like the process started in 2004 and then was finally done in 2008.
It's a huge project. It really is. I mean, we didn't have as good a document as we're beginning with here, but it really is, it's very complex.
Yeah.
And then, of course, the town needs a lot of time to be able to, react to it and respond and be very honest.
All right, so did you want to add anything, Colleen or Katie, to the changes that you made in this section?
Yeah, I had some questions.
Okay, what should I look
If
at?
you want, we'll go to the school section, please.
Oh, and Terry had Stacy Souza going
Yeah.
to schools.
Yeah. And so I had done the narrative part, and then she did the numbers part.
Parks and
So
Rec,
I'll go back to that too.
School department, okay.
And so I felt pretty good about all of this, but if you scroll a bit,
Now we have an anonymous Laura. Sorry, scrolling.
scroll a bit to the chart that shows the numbers.
Okay,
Okay, so that
This one?
was the old one, and then there's a new one. So those numbers below are accurate, those are the ones that Stacy just gave us.
okay.
And so do we want to keep the
No.
old, just get rid of it? The only thing I wanted to throw out there, if you look at it, what their projection was that we would have for student body in 2015, came out really close to what we actually had in 2015.
I think you should make that comment in the text,
So
that.
I don't know how they made the projection, but if you look at it, it was 235, and then if you go right, and they
I know,
had
right here.
projected that it would be about 426 by the year 2015, and it's actually 435. So however they made that projection, they did a good job with it. And you can see it's kind of we're not where we were last year, but we're rising again.
Yeah.
So I can just get rid of those numbers, and I do need to reach out to them and find out what percentage. I'm not sure if she updated, she left it highlighted, so I'm not sure if she updated the percentage of tuition students. Do you happen to know what our percentage of tuition students are?
No, I don't. It's not as high as it was last year.
So I can ask, I can just call Stacy and ask, she knows that. So in this section, like I noticed that like some of the other departments, you have a listing of all of like the vehicles. And so John Murray, he gave me a listing of all the buses and vehicles and whatever, and I can put that in if it seems useful.
I think we should.
I think
That's
we
just good inventory.
Yeah, 'cause we have new ones too. We've gotten rid of a lot of
Yeah, he
old
gave me
stuff,
the whole,
I think.
yeah, he gave me the whole
We
list.
got a super bargain on 2 buses last year.
So then this section, I'm just gonna highlight this and say,
I wanna say 20% of the tuition. I don't know if that's accurate, but it's,
Cause it was 15.
yeah,
the old
I think that
one.
maybe it was last year, 20%.
I can ask.
We've had more, I think we've had a slight rise of RSU 12, but not positive. It's hard for me to remember numbers accurately.
what I call a projection or a prediction?
Yeah, I think it's good.
Um,
And then there's nothing in there that talks about, because I just updated what was currently in there. I didn't add, like, I didn't add any new content really. But I think it looked like, should we have a description of how the school runs? That the school, is governed by a school board, the school board is elected.
I think that
None
would
of
be
that
great.
is in there at all from the last one.
I think it's really important to have that in there because I think the schools are, a big topic of discussion, right? And it's something that we wanna plan for the future, so,
And I also think that when you did this last one, I think we were RSU 12. And so, which would explain why it was just such a small section.
it seemed like a
When did
really
you join
small
RSU
section to
12?
me when I read it. We were in RSU 12, because I was on that school board, wasn't that, 2008, 2009?
Is that what I had? Because I was here 7 to 8, and then we went back to Michigan in February. And when we got back, you guys were in and out already. Boom, done. It's like, okay, which they were just talking about it. I wasn't even really cognizant of that, what that meant at the time. My kids were very
I think
small.
it was 8, 9, 9, 10, and 10, 11, and then 11, 12 was the first, actually, no, I think we were still in RSU 12, 11, 12, because the first year I worked at the school, it was for RSU 12, which was in spring 12.
That was several years there, right now, 5 or 6
Yeah.
years before they decided to get out.
Probably that 8, 9 year was the transition year, because there was a period of time when we had the local school board, and then we had the coming RSU 12 school board. That was fun, I was on both of them.
So there's no reference to it in there at all, I can add that.
That seems, yeah.
Probably throw something in there about that it is a department of the town.
Yeah.
In the section I did, I started looking at, I used the previous text and looked at it, but I ended up basically rewriting the whole thing because it was just too cumbersome
To type over.
yeah, I didn't feel like I thought it could be a little better, so I tried. I started off it's like, basically like it was just a skeleton and you end up, like a trellis, and next thing you know, you pretty much covered it up, and
Yeah.
it's over, it's gone. Even though I sort of started with the,
I didn't like sort of each section wasn't written by the same person, so it's pretty clear when you read that, but some of them have this sort of anecdotal, just here where it's defining enrollment continues to be a major issue.
yeah, I don't consider that to be proper, that's not what you're supposed to be saying,
No, it just sounds like it's
Just facts.
Yeah, but I think that, I don't even remember who wrote that, but I do think those things are, if you're giving a snapshot of the town, that was going on, and that was a really big issue then. So I think it's just it's supposed to be sort of a reflection of where we are right now, and for them, that's where that's where we were then.
Yeah.
But I think you're right, we don't want to get into a lot of editorializing.
Right, it's easy to do, it's easy
Yeah.
to want to weigh in on that.
Right.
It's, I think, natural to,
But recording, a current and very volatile issue, I think is totally fair. If you're giving an overview.
it was actually really noticeable having lived here briefly at that time and then coming back, it was like, what
Oh,
happened,
that's
everybody?
interesting.
And that's when the Naval Air Station had closed.
Everything happened while you were out
And
there.
then a ton of people left, apparently, because I was like, I remember these classmates of mine children, and they all moved, other people moved. Not all of them, but a lot did, so you could notice it, it would be more gradual, I guess, if you lived here.
Yeah, that's interesting.
All right, anything else on that section?
No, in the school section.
You're gonna go back in and just type over and delete stuff? Good.
And I don't think I had anything on Parks and
Parks and Rec, did you do?
I think I had anything.
That was up.
There's a section on outdoor recreation that I did try to update just based on what I knew, but I have a feeling that we're missing something, and it seems kind of repetitive with the section that we just went over too.
Natural
Sort of
Natural
resources.
resources.
They definitely overlap. I haven't even looked at what appears in your section about that, so I will.
And so this is its own section because it's a department of the town.
Yeah, okay.
Oh, because it's Parks and
So I think
Rec?
Yeah.
we could just cross-reference it, that in the natural resource section. And hopefully we did, but we might not have, it'd say, see page blah, 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 public facilities for more on outdoor recreation, or something like that I could put in.
Who manages the Wiscasset Woods? It used to be Sorwell Forest, and then I guess they gave it to the town, but now the town owns all that land, right?
No, the Sorrel Forest is owned by the New England Forestry Foundation, but it abuts that woods that's behind the community center. And so they come right up against each other. But the New England Forestry Foundation is a nonprofit based in Boston, actually.
So the Wiscasset Woods, is that managed by Parks and Rec, or is that?
On their list.
It's not on this list anyway, this is old, but I just wonder if that's,
Sorrel Forest is not Wiscasset Woods, where is Wiscasset Woods then?
behind the community center.
Oh.
Yeah.
I thought it also included Sorwell Forest, but it doesn't.
I thought that was like a town.
That's actually owned by an independent nonprofit,
Oh, that's cool.
a New England nonprofit that
I
owns
guess
it.
it's cool, I don't know. I guess I don't know if it's good or bad.
No, they're great, but
They seem to do a good job.
the fact that those lands abut is really important, and abutting the community center and the Mars Farm, because it has created this big
And the school,
contiguous, yeah, the school.
like that's a campus.
Yeah, continuous sort of open space that should be kind of seen as a whole, because New England Forestry Foundation are pretty, they're sort of like, as long as you don't, as long as you take care of it, they encourage recreational use of it, so I think there's a lot of interconnectivity between all this.
So this part, the facilities, I asked them specifically about that, and this is what they gave me.
The rec, the
Yeah.
park, and the Sherman Park.
Because I was surprised.
But then what about downtown, like they didn't clean the bathrooms at the waterfront?
They do, but it's considered
The
part
rec
of the
takes care of that?
They do.
Well, I think it seems to be, if I'm understanding it correctly, they sort of just share the staff, but that's considered the waterfront, it's not actually Parks and Rec.
But they call it the rec pier, and whenever there's an
Yeah.
event there, like the rec
Right,
brings
like
the
the
stuff
parade
down,
stuff,
like
yeah.
rec brings down, you
I wondered
know,
about they calling it
tables
the
or
rec
whatever.
pier. I guess I thought it was because you could get a boat there,
Recreation pier.
right? I thought it was exactly
And that's a good question. Well, these are all good questions. I realized that White's Island wasn't owned by the town at the time of this, probably.
No.
So that has to go on this list too,
Yeah.
and on my list.
And is that managed by Parks and Rec?
Well, I mean, Lisa was really interested in it, but I don't think it's managed by anybody right now. But I think it.
that. Public access by water only.
Yeah.
You can go out there by boat.
Mm-hmm.
kayak.
Yeah, but that's a good question. I don't really know whose responsibility it is. I don't know. It seems like it would fall under public facilities.
I didn't see when I talked with, when they swore me in to meet with Jeff Slack to do my, sworn into the committee there, we had this discussion. And,
About,
this is all they.
What
so it's a
committee?
part of The Cooper DeFerry Scholarship.
Oh, yes, I saw that in the paper.
and then these are the other rec facilities.
See, so Sewell Memorial Forest is on there. Yeah.
So it is, it's a resource for townspeople.
Well, I think we need to probably look closer at the Parks and Rec again, because somebody's managing like the recreation pier, someone will be responsible for White's Island, and who's it gonna be? You know, maybe,
Dwayne's been there a month now,
yeah, yeah, we
Well,
can,
when I first talked to him, he's literally been on the job for 2 days.
okay. Anyway, we do have a lot of stuff though, a lot of good stuff, I like that.
Yeah, we do. There's so much in this town.
All right, Katie, did you want to go over any parts on, I forget which section?
It was the recycling and the transfer station.
Oh,
The only thing,
yeah.
I feel like I'm finished with it because I went through a couple of drafts and I emailed it to Ron Lear and he looked at it to, make sure it all looked right. The question that I had emailed in was my table there, and this is just a physical thing. Oh, I have a column for 2019 because I figured before we're finished this project, I'll be able to
Yes.
fill in those numbers, but
Yeah,
that table, if you scroll up and look at the next person's,
in here?
well, no, the other direction, but you see, that table, it kind of wastes a lot of space. And see that table there, how nice and
Condensed?
squished it is, yeah. It just
Uh-huh.
doesn't use up as much paper, but that's a minor question, so.
That's so great that you, who are writing about waste disposal and
Oh,
recycling,
yeah.
would be thinking about.
Yeah, I tried about 5 different ways to make that,
Well, it's still super nice. I
I'm
don't
trying to
think.
scan, you just do that, Kim?
Me? Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Well, there's your name, that's fine.
Did you, alright, I think I saw your thing and I messed with it a little bit, but not that much. Must
I
be
mean,
like
it's not
a
a big deal, I
format
suppose
table.
it'll stay that way. It's,
She's all over the place, she's popping up all over there.
Format table. Alright,
It might honestly be easier to cut it out, put it in Excel, fix it in Excel, and then repaste it. Because Word is just so messy to work with tables in.
yeah, I started in Excel, and then when I was doing up my whole document, I took it from Excel and put it into Word to get the table in there, and, so I thought maybe that could have been the problem, but I don't know.
it's, yeah. Alright, well, we'll mess around with that.
I think it's dazzling.
So, yeah, this all looks really updated, 2018-19. And you've got the fiber right in there.
Great, you've done all this.
Yeah, Katie did all her
Great.
homework.
Yeah, that's so
Yeah,
wonderful,
right.
because I was wondering how we were gonna get all that recycling information, and you've done it.
Yeah, I think it's
Fabulous.
pretty-
So if I'm correct, or I understand it correctly, all the stuff that we don't recycle now gets hand-picked out of the trash at a different facility. And gets
and fiber, right?
at Fiberite.
Do they handpick it? I
Yeah,
thought
I
they
guess
just
I-
burned everything and then pulled
No,
off
they
the
literally,
gas.
they swear up down at the trash station that I'm surprised with the labor issues that we have with the people that do that tear into that and handpick stuff out that's recyclable in a different way. I'm hoping that's what they said. That's what they said when they Dave that no longer works there, I can't remember his name.
So I thought that what Fiberite does is they have this kind of new technology, newer, I
They're
guess.
making electricity out of it.
They burn everything, right? And then they incinerate it all, but then they pull off everything that's petroleum based.
Which would
And
be
then
like,
they're able to recycle that into something
that's what I'm saying, like the
natural
plastic
gas.
bubbles, like lettuce bubbles and stuff that you can't put in there. It's not, they only take number 1 and number 2. Recyclables now are rigid plastic. It's a lot of that stuff you used to stick in there that you can't anymore. Like a plastic mayonnaise jar.
You mean in the single stream?
Yeah,
The
there is.
plastic recycle,
Yeah.
right, we don't have single stream anymore, right?
Right, so that's the sort of stuff
Like your
that
mayonnaise
someone
jar
is pulling
is
out
a-
by hand before they burn the rest of it. I'm not positive.
We should find out, because I feel like Ron Lear explained it to me, all of it goes into an incinerator, and it takes the plastic bags and the mayonnaise jars and the little tabs and everything that's plastic, and then they can, like it's left over after the incineration, all the petroleum-based product, and then it turns into. We should find out, because now we broadcast it on YouTube and.
'Cause I couldn't believe it when I said that. I was like, that's insane sounding, but
Yeah.
I said, don't worry, this is actually getting recycled. Just not here, just not this way.
Yeah, when we had the single stream, you might, if you're gonna put a mayonnaise jar in there, you rinse it out. But now, if you're putting it in number 1, number 5, say, if you're putting it in the trash, so are you gonna waste the water and your time to rinse it out?
Well, that's something I've always wondered about with the loss of water, fresh water anymore. How much water is trapped in a plastic bottle in a garbage bag? How long does it take that water to get out? You know, when it gets crushed up and decomposed and whatever, it seems like every McDonald's is full of drink cups full of ice, and they tie it up and then throw it in the thing. Not to get off topic.
And
It
it's
seems
like,
like you
well,
can really.
I'm just feeling like, no, it's too much.
No, it's really disheartening.
Yeah. All right, so thank you, Katie, that section looks great and complete. All right, back to the agenda. So that's where we are. The next thing I think we need to put on hold because I feel like we have more work to do in our sections. So this was identify volunteers to do the next sections to be updated.
The water section is done, I'm just waiting for a little feedback, and I'll be able to put it.
Do you want me to pull it up, like what you sent me, or?
If you want to. It's actually, I'm pretty happy with it, I'm just waiting to see if.
That's nice, so you're totally done with that? Oh,
I
that's
think so,
great.
I'm not sure, I'm just waiting I got most of my information from them, and then I regurgitated it here, and then
When did you email that to me at my selectman thing, or?
I think I don't think so, no.
At school?
No, just on your, Kim Anderson, I just typed her name in, that one came up, and I just your email, I'm not sure.
I'm just pulling it up.
But I'll just say this, it looks like the Wiscasset Water District is extremely well run and well maintained.
That's
and
great.
Forward looking, I mean, I think I was pretty impressed by what I found out. And there's some areas that need improvement. They completed everything from their capital efficiency plan from 2010. They had it all done in 2018.
All right,
So
you
they
said
haven't been
Jason wrote. I don't know why this is wonky. It just is. All right, are there any? Technology, right?
So Jason, I have a sense, maybe you're the person who mentioned this at a previous meeting, that we are working well in coordination with others concerned about Lake Wiscasset and maintaining water quality and water supply into the future.
Well, they're part of this Five Rivers Regional Water Council.
Yeah,
And they do work with Bath Water District and Booth Bay,
great.
and they do, seems like they work together, seems like they help each other out.
That's wonderful.
And there's another thing that I didn't put in here, because, as far as getting funds from the feds, there's another thing they were part of.
But anyway, it sounds like there's more coordination around that than there was, 20 years ago or even
Probably,
10 years
yeah.
ago,
Yeah, I don't know.
which is wonderful.
So that's basically, I started those with what there wasn't a ton, there was some, and all the improvements come from last year's 2019 Tata and Howard Capital Efficiency Plan update. So they did a lot, we all know a couple years ago they did a lot around here.
They did.
They tore up the town pretty good.
And I guess they're not done.
Not really, there's phase one improvements, they wanna go up with bigger pipe to Deer Ridge Road and up to the elderly housing. They wanna go do some stuff on water,
Looks like to the school.
Street 4 Middle. Yeah, they wanna replace, there's a term they use here, which I think I only used it once, redundancy. They like to achieve redundancy where stuff loops around. It can reconnect, so they've got more options to get the water. Old Bath Road does not have town water. It has town sewer, it does not have town water, so that's a big one.
So redundancy meaning if one part of it fails, they still have enough
They
of
could
the
probably
system.
get it from another
Interesting.
section, so they like normally redundancy sounds negative, but I think in this case it is a positive thing. So that's some, I mean, I didn't put every detail that's in here, but the basic and the costs, you know, you can read it when it's in there, it's not exciting reading. But, they did a lot of work, and they, I think, they know what they need to do next, and it's spelled out here pretty well, I think, so. And yeah, it's all, a lot of water's coming from that lake. I mean, it must, it's amazing, actually, that it's Bath, it's Woolwich, it's us, Davis Island, a small part of Dresden, I think, a little bit, but probably right at the Wiscasset, or Woolwich, Dresden line. They've updated, they've changed out the pipes, they got that giant tank. I believe all the water goes from Bath, from the Wiscasset to Bath, to the big tank behind the high school, and then it goes out everywhere else. So, I'm really interested in hearing what Kevin has to say. We all went, you were there, not the whole
I
time.
was just thinking about that.
To the wastewater treatment, you were
That's
there,
under-
most of it, you made.
How did that go?
Is
It
that
was-
under section 6? That's under public,
Yeah, Kevin was, took
Facilities.
that on, and that's a huge thing, to just digest what they said. It wasn't as, in my view, it wasn't as, you know, daunting what they need as you might think. I think he said, I don't wanna speak for, it was roughly $500,000 to update the facility itself, but what, a couple million to update the collection system.
The what system?
The collection, the pipes
Oh,
getting there.
I see.
that's this whole sanitary sewer section.
Okay.
So, and I don't know that this has been updated yet.
So, yeah, he had a lot to work with. And he's a hydrologist, correct? Isn't that what he does?
I
Kevin?
think so, yeah.
He works with water somehow,
Yeah.
so
Okay.
I'm really interested in what he has to say there. This is pretty cut and dry what I did, so I'll try to do my best to get it in.
I was just at the sewage treatment plant, wastewater treatment plant with my class, and the number that sticks out in my mind was the number of customers. And it's come up in here too many times, that we have 811.
And some of those customers are this building and the school. And there was, oh, well, no. Maybe I'm thinking of this. But yeah, everybody has water and sewer. So it's some public space in the library. Well, the library's not public, is it? How does that work? But anyway, it's, you know, the police station and the,
I would just be curious to know how many
Courthouse.
people live along sewer and water but don't use it.
well, like if you live on Old Bath Road, you have your own well, but you can drain to the sewer.
Right.
You can have it one way or the other.
Because if you could put more people on the system without increasing the cost of running the system, then the whole system would be,
Right?
just like with our schools, like we could dump another 100 kids in our school and it wouldn't cost any extra, like the infrastructure would support them if you spread them evenly.
So you're thinking it's surprising that so few.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's
yeah, I was
interesting.
surprised that there were so few.
Some people must have town water but their own septic system, and vice versa. Some people have town sewer but their own well.
Yeah. Well, anyway, all right, so back to our agenda. Colleen, and I was about to say, like, we all still have work to do, but do you feel like you want another section? Katie, do you want another section?
I guess it would depend on what the.
These are the ones here,
was.
municipal financial.
Yeah, this is what's
transmission,
left. We have,
land use, and regional coordination.
Oh, Elizabeth, did you do sidewalks?
I haven't done anything on it yet. What I had said when I came to the first meeting in September was that DOT would cover working on that in 2020. So we have two separate contracts with state government. One's with DACF, and they pay for us to occasionally come to your meetings and provide a little bit of support. Like
Wait, what's the ACF?
Department of Agriculture,
Okay.
Conservation, and Forestry. So that's where the remainder of the state planning office landed. It's
Okay.
Yeah.
2 people, where there used to be 8.
Yeah.
But it's now 2 people who were there back when there were 8. One has been there the whole time, and the other went and worked for Land for Maine's Future and has just come back to the planning office. So they now have 2 people doing the work of 8, but they're, experienced people who have been, doing that work for a long time. Anyway, So they fund us to do a little bit of support for what you guys are doing. DOT will fund us to basically write the transportation section. Obviously, we don't really want to come in and, you know, write it as an outsider without input from the community. But, you know, if you can wait until after the first of the year, which is almost here now, I actually have a meeting tomorrow with our regional planner from DOT to finalize our work plan for 2020. So I should be able to do that, you know, with DOT funding. I'll know better after tomorrow, like how many hours, you know, what the amount they're gonna give us for it is.
And with DOT, they would look at all multimodal analysis of.
Well, I'm not gonna do a car first transportation plan, if that's what you're gonna have to
Oh,
find
I'm
somebody
cars
else.
first?
Yeah, so
What does that
that's,
mean exactly?
Well, that's what I'm asking. I want to make sure it's a balance.
yeah,
Yeah.
DOT, I mean, you know, just
They can
quickly,
do their
DOT's gonna
thing.
push in one direction.
Yeah.
Well, they're not doing it, I would be doing it.
Okay.
So they fund the regional planning commission.
Yeah.
They will give us a certain amount of funding to spend on it. Now, you know, to get it approved, we're gonna have to check some of the boxes they want checked. But they're not gonna restrict us from spending time on it, doing other things that aren't what they requested.
Yeah. So we could add to it or amend it.
Yeah, I mean, it's a matter of finding balance. One of the really important things to do, if we're calling for things other than the way DOT has always done business, is that we have to have land use policies that match that. We can't say, you know, we want to cut funding for roads and enhance funding for walking and biking, and then have a land use plan that calls for all single family homes.
Right.
You know?
So if we accept funding from them to work on that section, does that mean we're obligated to accept what they produce?
That's not my understanding at all. Is they will provide a certain amount of funding.
Yeah.
I send them bills for, you know,
Your
the
time.
time that's been spent and the, you know, miles driven and
Yeah.
expenses associated with it. I mean, could they potentially look at a bill and say you spent too much time, you know, analyzing the possibility of transit and we're not gonna fund transit, so we're not gonna pay you for that part? That could happen, but if something like that were to happen, I think county funding could, you know, just cover that if they reject some part of our bill.
Okay.
But overall, they're gonna give us an amount, and, you know, it may be that, it will be that to do a good job, I would have to go over that amount of time. But, you know, one thing is we have to provide local match in terms of in-kind hours.
Oh, interesting.
So we can write, you know, hours that we spent doing transportation things that may not be DOT's particular interest. We can make those, you know, our local match hours instead of the hours we bill for.
To sort of add or expand the overview a little bit.
Yeah, and then we also record, you know, any volunteer hours that are on projects. So if volunteers participate in the transportation chapter, we could track those hours and also log those as match hours.
Neat. That's great.
What did you say, what kind of survey, something survey?
Cars only. Wait.
Yeah, it's a cars first
Yes,
transportation.
cars
I'm
first.
not gonna write a cars first.
What does that mean, cars first?
Traditional, you know, conventional transportation planning of the last 60 years where it's, you know, focus on vehicular level of service, lack of consideration of the needs of pedestrians, bicyclists, transit.
It's all about the cars.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you know, so we're at this point trying to come back. And, you know, I was at the Maine Climate Council's Transportation Working Group this afternoon. And I'm not on the official working group, but I'm gonna be on the sub-working group on, cutting transportation emissions in rural areas
Neat.
with that.
Fantastic.
So, you know, we'll be able to coordinate with that, but, you know, I think statewide, there's some momentum, there's understanding that we do have a crisis of public health and the environment and economics
Right.
caused by the over-reliance on the automobile. And then we also have a, you know, a population that is aging. A lot of folks are, you know, don't want to drive as much, can't drive as much, can't drive at night, etc.
Well, isn't the whole car thing just, it really is gonna, I think it's gonna change a lot, because look what it costs to drive across a city nowadays, or if you get on the good roads, you pay a lot of money. If you wanna drive on a terrible road or through a, quote, dangerous area, you gotta go on a toll road. And where you can park your car now virtually anywhere. And it's considered, okay, it's my car. You know, if I park my car in front of your house on the road, that'd be kind of weird, but you would say, oh, there must be a reason why they park there. And I think that whole culture of car rights is gonna change, because you know, certain people can drive and certain places you can go. Well, it costs $40, $50 if you drove across some cities. It costs $200 if you're moving and you drive across New York State, if you've got a van, you know what I mean? There's a lot more issues than just driving, getting in your car. Right now, we're so used to the autonomy of getting in your car and going wherever you want. And I think that's gonna change a lot this century.
Mhm.
Yeah.
There's
Well, a lot
gonna
of
be a
it-
lot of changes.
Even if you ignore the environmental and public health issues, a lot of the bills are coming due in terms of the infrastructure that was funded in the mid-20th century, where we simply can't afford to maintain the system of roads.
Based on a gas tax or whatever.
Yeah, gas tax hasn't paid for the roads, since before I started my career in transportation planning. We've been doing transfer after transfer from the general fund to subsidize highway building. And I think, fortunately, Maine hasn't done too much road widening, but there certainly is some. There certainly are needs to address speed limits through town areas to make them more hospitable to people that are trying to walk and bike within the town. And one of the things we're working on at the county level, hopefully, is trying to build the support for transit in the county. And I would see that as first being along the Route 1 corridor, including a stop in downtown Wiscasset.
Bus types of public busing.
Neat. Those are such great thoughts.
So also, so you're saying that you want to update this section 8 on transportation. This is again just in the inventory part where it would be updating the section to reflect what we have now. So there's like it talks about our road system and the traffic counts, like all of these numbers need updating. Is that without, going into the larger visionary phase, is this stuff that can just be updated easily, or would it be better if one of us
Yeah, I mean,
That
definitely
one.
the traffic counts and the stuff that's data that's coming from the state, that's not something that needs to be a local person doing, so, I might as well pull those. I think most of those are in the package that the state planning office provides to towns that are doing comp plans. So I think it should have come in the same data package as what you had with some of those traffic count numbers and other things.
Wait,
But-
from, in the same package as,
Not in there, but
No.
when a town tells DACF or the state planning office that they're doing a comp plan update, there's a data package that they produce that's
Do we have
across multiple departments.
we should,
So you haven't gotten it?
that,
Better talk to them.
I mean, it says something, should Kim do that, or one of us do that, or, I mean, does it take an official? I mean, would it help because Kim's a selectman, or do you think it?
Let me ask Ruta Zenas about that, because I thought that there had been one produced. It's possible that it's already been done and just misplaced.
Oh,
So let
interesting.
me look into.
You know what, actually, I think that there might be something that I saw on their website.
Mhm. Yeah, because
Um,
now you access
That would have
it.
been requested, who was the planner that we had sadly let go? The young man who was really nice.
April, Dan, not
Yeah, I
Dan.
feel like maybe he put
Ben,
it,
Ben
Ben
April.
had requested that.
Oh, interesting.
It might be sitting in their website already.
You-
Or it might
Yeah,
have
I'll
Laurie.
look into
Maybe
that.
something that we can just print out.
Yeah, because remember Laurie put out a query about people interested in the plan before she left.
Lori Smith?
Yeah, so she also might have made that, I don't know.
Yeah, I think it exists. I think there's a CD of it in my office.
Oh, that's
So I
good.
thought you all had access to it.
We've never
Yay.
seen it.
But yeah, so let me try and track that down tomorrow.
That's helpful.
Because I think
Yeah.
I
that
think
would
it's
be-
been done, if not like literally today. They sent a new link for data from the towns that requested it this year.
Oh. So
which
that might
includes
be,
Millboro, which
that
is
might
also
provide us
included.
with some guidance as well.
Yeah, so that provides a lot of the kind of the data you need from the state, a lot of stuff for the natural resources section, because I think those maps, they
It's right on their
were part
website.
of that data set, because it's from multiple state agencies and the state planning office coordinates. You know,
Interesting.
here's our checklist of all the things that a town needs when they're updating the comp plan.
So
So
wait,
I'm-
you're gonna check and see whether?
Yeah, I'm gonna
just
look
doing this
into-
for notes. Okay, that would be amazing. That would be really helpful. Can I just ask you to repeat once again? You said that money to support your work comes from the, which department? AG, you said something like?
So we have two funding sources from the state that support the work of the Regional Planning Commission.
Okay,
The former state planning office is now part of the Department of Agriculture, Conservation, and Forestry.
okay.
So you said the page killed it, that's how they came back?
Basically,
Yeah.
they were demoted from being an independent agency to being a smaller office within another combined agency, which I think I was.
That's gonna be changing again though, right? Doesn't Janet Mills want to have like the Department of the Future?
Yeah, like the innovation and
Yeah,
the
she
one
talked about that
Cecily
in her-
Pingree is.
Yeah, so there is the Department of
That's
Innovation in the Future, I think,
Yeah.
which is overseeing the climate council.
But not that
As of
much
now, there
depending
hasn't been
on-
any move to put state planning there or do
Okay.
anything different, even to refill some of the old positions from state planning.
All right.
So there may be a lag on that until the climate council has come up with its report.
Okay, interesting.
And then Elspeth, isn't the town of Wiscasset contributing like a portion towards your position as well? Like, I think we're
The
keeping that.
towns,
I don't know what it is, it's not much.
I don't think the towns pay dues, because Lincoln
No, it's not
County
dues.
is
I
a
think
unit of
we
government.
we put it in our budget and it got approved. It's like 10 hours a month or something. For
Really?
Yeah, for your position. I think so, I'm pretty sure we did do that. And then it got approved by the voters. So it's like, we're creeping our planner back in and it started with contributing towards the Lincoln County planner position, which would be
That I am not aware of. It's possible that Mary Ellen is, but, let me ask her about that.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the thing. I've definitely heard. I mean, the voters approved that.
When, at the,
In June. It seems so long ago. All right, so
I
back
know.
to,
I'll go back next year, I was looking at that.
because it's getting late and we do have to talk about process because timeline and process. But as far as so it sounds like Ellsworth is all transportation, land use. I don't know what in that section can be updated. I'm kind of talking to you, Colleen and Katie, if you wanted to take on municipal finances or regional coordination and just take those sections and update what you
Regional
can.
coordination,
Okay.
I look at regional coordination.
Colleen.
Wiscasset's land and quality of life.
And then Katie, did you want to check out municipal finances?
Where would I get the information? to
So
update
I'll
this?
send you, this is what it looks like from here. Municipal finances. This is the
Are you looking
section.
at land use?
It's valuation and taxes.
Yeah, I'm
And-
curious to know. I can't remember.
I'm guessing you can probably get a lot of this information here, the valuation and taxes right off of the state's website. This is all public information. I can send you links. And then, I mean, heck, municipal valuation return, the source here is, municipal valuation returns, statistical summary 2004, and then also the 2000 census.
Yeah, where do you get that?
This leads me to
To
another
get the
question.
census info.
So that's a question for us. So, I mean, do we want to
Karma
use
was on that kind of.
2010 census info, or how long will it take for the 2020 census to be done?
I don't know
I
how
think
long.
you have that data and time to.
You don't?
It takes a while, right? A
They're
couple of
still
years.
figuring out who they're
Yeah.
gonna count, aren't they?
Yeah,
The
it'll
census
be-
is gonna be a real circus this year.
Yeah, in a normal year, you don't have everything worked out after the decennial census until like at least 3 or 4 years after.
Okay.
So we're
This
probably
year
gonna look
is
at
gonna
it.
be-
The 2010.
It's
Yeah, I mean,
2010.
if you're gonna use census data as opposed to American Community Survey or anything, you know, that is a
Is that more
smaller
updated?
sample. Well, it's a smaller sample size, you know, a little more estimation involved, but, you know, more frequently updated. But I don't know that there's, unless you see some really big trend, like if the base closure had just happened since the 2010 census and a whole bunch of people left town and your population was now, you know, 500 people less than it was at the last census, then you'd want to look at, you know, do we have a more accurate number? You probably want to kind of take a look at current estimate of population and see how different that is from 2010 data. You know, if you think there's been some kind of major change in the last decade, then it would be important to find an alternate source. Whereas if you think it's still reasonably accurate,
Yeah.
you know, then you're okay using it.
I remember reading in one of these sections, I guess, on the population, they wrote about the increase in single women.
Yeah,
of a
that's
certain
right, I
age.
remember
So
that.
I'm curious, like,
Well, single people in general, but women. are
older
more
women,
right.
like senior,
Yeah.
single women
That's right.
increasing here, and there were some projections about that. It'd be interesting to see.
That would be interesting, and also single, I think, I sort of remember from the deed, you know, single parent households too, that was a rising. When we go back to the agenda, Kim, can you just remind me of the 4 sections? I think we were just
Yeah.
assigning regional coordination, municipal finances, land use, and I couldn't remember, population was the 4th one.
Regional coordination.
Transportation, okay, the part that,
Transportation.
yeah. I had an interesting, I happened to run into Dan Thompson at the Chonky Craft Fair, and he was very involved in 2 comp plans ago, and maybe even 1 comp plan. And he brought up the issue of civil defense. He said unfortunately I can't get online right now, but I'll forward to you a link he sent me. He said there was an article in the Lincoln County News about civil defense that he thought was really interesting, and he didn't think the our comp plan had addressed that at all, and I don't think it did either.
What do you need civil defense?
Well, unfortunately, I haven't opened his link, but he said that there were a lot of considerations about, I guess, if there are major emergencies in this region. Maybe, I was wondering whether it would fall under regional coordination, but maybe it's a separate entity all in itself. But I think we should look at his link and see if we think it falls into an existing area or would be a new area altogether. I'm putting in the notes and I'm sending you the link.
Okay.
Yeah, it probably depends on how much you want to focus on that, because, you know, you could kind of reference the county emergency management agency
Right.
in regional coordination, but if you want to do more detailed planning for, you know, what would the town do in the event of, you know, somebody getting to store nuclear waste or something.
Yeah, I mean, maybe regional coordination is the place to highlight it, even if we only acknowledge that we're largely dependent on the county for any planning. But anyway, I thought it was something I hadn't thought of, and so.
That's something that they used to talk about when we did have that PAC committee, the emergency planning ended up, I know it was under Toby for a little while.
Was it like evacuation routes and things like that? I sort of do remember.
He was pretty short-lived in that position.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
they talked about things like, you know, with the evacuation site maybe not being downtown, maybe putting it out to the airport.
Okay.
We should want to bring people away from whatever the disaster was.
Yeah.
Assuming that the disaster would happen in a more populated places.
Yeah, interesting. Okay. Well, let's all take a look at this and we can think
I
about
mean,
it.
that's another area where you want redundancy, because if your site that you're planning to bring everybody to, if you only have one site and that site is, you know, whether it's you know, a civil defense issue or a weather issue.
Yeah.
Or, you know, an explosion of natural gas or what have you. If your site that you were planning on bringing people to is suddenly inoperable.
Destroyed,
Then, you know, your whole plan is up in smoke.
literally.
Okay. So for timeline and process for inventory update, so like 2 months ago, I was thinking we could update these inventory items by the end of the year. We're not gonna be done by the end of 2019.
Yeah.
Even if we worked on it full-time for like the next couple of weeks, it probably would take a little longer. So, but I just have questions about this process in general. And Elizabeth, I want to direct them to you since you're here. So what I've been, and I've never done this before, this is for everyone, but in my mind, what I've been thinking is that the comprehensive plan has 2 major parts. And the first part is really large, and it's the inventory list of everything that we have. And then the second part is the fun part, which jumps down here to the Wiscasset goals, policies, and strategies. And then that would be this is the section where you would really like dive in and get input from the community and say like, okay, everybody, here's the presentation of everything that we have. These first 10 sections. Now, where do you know, with this, taking this into consideration, where do you see us in the next 10 years? What are your goals, policies, and strategies? And so I've been thinking that section, we can't do that until we update the inventory.
That's right.
Does that sound right?
Definitely, because all those goals, policies, and strategies have to be resting on the information we collect in the inventory. And so we can't, you know, it shouldn't be just pie in the sky, it should be sort of built from the bottom up, like a pyramid, where this information we're doing is creating the foundation.
And so this foundational work should not include hopes or dreams for the future. It won't include, like in the school section, say I was writing the school section and I really want to see like a nature-based service learning alternatives public school. Like that's not the place to put that, right? That kind of.
Unless it's become a community, you know, unless it's something that's being discussed in the community, where it could fall under a snapshot of the community. But if it's just for, you know, any one of our individual dreams, then
Keep that out.
doesn't count.
All right.
I think if there's a deficiency, you want to identify it. You know, like if all the other towns in the county of this size or larger have X and you don't, or, you know, other places in the state have it and this is something glaringly missing that, you know, is causing people to choose to move to a different town instead of Wiscasset. Like, you know, you want to identify where there are holes, like what's not there as well as what's there.
Good point.
Not, you know, not necessarily talk about how to achieve them, but if there's something that's out of the ordinary or interfering with progress because it's not present, you do want to identify that, you know, just in terms of
In your
we don't have-
inventory.
we don't have blank.
And with that could be under, in the way the natural resources section was done with, that's one of the 4 subsections being threats. It could,
So it could be looked
the
at as-
lack of something we do, or the fact that we're doing something that could be done by someone else, could be seen as a threat potentially. But you're saying this feeds into the goals, policies, strategy. You're saying what
Well,
you're
it
talking about.
does feed into
Yeah.
goals, policies, and strategies because you would then need to address that.
Right, okay.
either threat or
Yes,
weakness or
okay.
hole or whatever you want to call it.
Look for what's not there as well as what's there, you said. I think it's a good piece of advice.
Okay. So in that way, I think we're on track. What about this like us being a sort of unofficial working committee, like the volunteers who are willing to do this legwork and not being, you know, brought in front of the select board and appointed. So in my mind, I thought like, okay, we'll just get it with whatever volunteers experts from our town will come together and update these inventory items. And then, when it's time for goals, policies, and strategies and future land use, we'll become an official committee. And then have a, because we can't have a select board of a committee of everybody, right? And we don't have a committee with like 20 people on it.
I think we did last time.
Did you?
I think it was large. I'm just trying to think, I see what you're thinking.
I'm just not sure at what point, like, should we be
Yeah.
getting appointed by the select
I
board
think
at this
we
time?
probably should. I mean, because unless people really know that they don't want to be part of that next time, because it helps so much. Going through this first part, you learn so much. Like, I just learned so much tonight from what the rest of you have done. So if we then move on, when we get to the point of moving on to future land use and goals, policy strategies, I feel like this group will have a lot of shared knowledge.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
worried that without going through the official process, that our work will may be considered not valid, and that people could question it, and then not want to move forward.
Yeah, I mean, I think most communities, again, I'm new to the state, but most communities seem to have an appointed committee within the first few meetings that they have.
Okay.
They'll have a few organizational meetings to get things together and then do appointments. I'm not sure if there are some that have additional appointments come later on. I'm sure there are times where people drop off and get replaced, but I think it makes sense to have a committee appointed, so that, if I'm a member of the public who lives in town and wants to find out, who do I talk to, there's a listing on the website of who the people working on it are.
So then maybe, would it make sense at our next meeting in January, an agenda item can be, defining the committee, how many people should be on it, what kinds of people should be on it.
Right. I think that is important, and I know you introduced some language about that early on, and I was looking at it recently, and representing different parts of the town and
Yeah.
different points of view, and I think that it would be nice to sort of reconsider our group at
I
that.
think what I hoped was that they would all just come.
Yeah, I know.
Right.
But it's like
That's how I
everything
felt about
else,
the
it's like,
conservation
Parts of the town, funny.
yeah, okay.
Break it up into wards.
Another factor to consider is age diversity. I mean,
Yeah.
you all do have more than some of the comp plan committees, but possibly thinking about a youth representative. Is there a student from the high school that you'd want to appoint to the committee or something like that?
Or a young,
I would let them,
yeah.
yeah. There's a lot of kids, who would do a great job.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I just remembered that I know that Willard Morgan is interested in working on the comp plan too from
Yes.
Milwaukee.
Yeah, he's on the distribution list.
Okay.
Maybe he's home now watching us on YouTube.
Oh, I hope so. But I'm thinking that it would be good to maybe cast a wide net at some point and re-invite people who have expressed interest along the way and find out if they still are.
Are they mentioned anywhere in the other plan as far as
Who was involved?
the Chewonki organization?
I saw them listed in your section under outdoors,
Yeah, okay, I didn't know how much.
but it was like very
Yeah, that's a
little.
Right, so that's,
I mean, I know
they're a big asset to the town.
Yeah, you're right. I know that some of their, the lands that are open to the public, I think were included in that, but I'll make sure.
Yeah,
Good question, Jason.
I feel like that's just our nonprofit, nonprofits could be a section. They're not broken out as a section, but really between the Chewonki Foundation and the Morris Farm and,
Yeah.
I guess Midcoast Conservancy moved across the bridge, but they're in the region.
Yeah, no, you're
So
right.
people doing stuff here.
The forest.
Yeah.
What else am I, so for our next meeting, we'll plan the official committee and then bring that, should we bring names? We actually bring like names to the next one, or is that appropriate?
To
How do we
bring,
get the,
I know
what
that,
do people do? They'll have to like fill in an application and then it'll go to the select board and the select board will appoint us?
Do you know how that process is done in other towns?
The only other town I've seen it happen in is Noblesboro, which was like last week, where they have, I think they were having maybe their third meeting, and they prepared their list to go to the select board, which was recommendations of the people who've been participating so far, and then they decided they wanted one more person, and they were talking about some names of people I didn't know.
To recruit.
But, yeah, they were looking to add one more so that they had an odd number of members, so that you couldn't have, you know, tied votes with all the committee members present.
Oh, interesting, good point.
Yeah, then we'll have to have a quorum and stuff to even proceed, right, if we become an official committee. Well, we have
Oh,
to,
that's a good point too.
like my experience,
Well,
when people show up, you can't do
I
anything.
mean, maybe we should just tack this as an agenda item for January, which will be our 5th meeting, so we're still in the realm
It's been
of
five
the first
already?
few meetings. Yeah, this is our 4th meeting right here. But this is really our 3rd one of actually sitting in this room and working. There was one in July.
Oh,
that
that's
was-
right.
Had a lot of people attend, but then, when I was like, then we'll roll up our sleeves and get to work.
But some of them might want to, maybe they
Yeah.
just haven't, you know, that
Haven't
something
been
else
on.
has pushed them out of the way, but they might re-engage.
And fall is a busy time.
Yeah.
I mean, they're all busy times, but I feel like November and December are
I'm
intense.
also thinking, maybe I'm wrong, but the documents you described that the state would provide once they, or have provided once they officially knew Wiscasset wants to renew their comprehensive plan, might have some procedural recommendations about.
I've seen those
this committee.
documents, I know I have on their website, and I can't remember when, but I'll drag that stuff back out.
Hey, speaking of weather, or the season, fall and stuff, truth is, we probably need to concentrate as much as we can done over the winter before spring hits, and then
Everybody's
it'll be the same thing, it'll be the same.
You probably are anyway.
Right, oh, so it never quits. I'm doing a lot right now.
I mean,
Baseball's coming, it's December.
Here's a
but-
meeting.
that's good.
So, on top of all the town committee stuff.
So is that online somewhere?
This is online, I just pulled this up.
Yeah.
So,
So yeah, you guys got it in spring 2019.
we did.
It's on the website.
It's on the website,
Yes.
good, so we should
I
check
think
that
it's
out.
on this website right here. Comprehensive plans,
Is that main.gov? I can't see it.
and
Yeah.
planning data webpage, and then,
Agriculture, conservation, and forestry, I think it's at the top.
Yeah, I can just forward.
here, Wiscasset. This is
yeah,
it.
wait.
You
I got it.
So it got sent to who exactly?
It's on our web, or it's on the state's website right there.
No, but I mean, when she says the town received it, who would have looked at it here?
Well, what I have is the email for this season. So you guys got it last season, which was before I was here. So I'm not sure if from the town received the email. But the email that I have today has a link to the webpage, which then has, and I'm sending you today's email that has the new ones, but if you click on the link, you see fall 2019, and then you see spring
Yeah,
2019, and there's a link.
it's right there.
Yeah,
And there
I
we
wasn't
are.
looking.
And so it's
But yeah.
downloading, it's a zip, and I bet you,
you're probably.
I already have it probably on this computer because this is all clean correctly.
Yeah, I mean, it's a big package. You probably want to look at it from a desktop and, you know, just find
What we need,
what
what's
you need for
pertinent.
your section.
So maybe we'll put that in the
Yeah.
agenda for the next meeting.
I think it's a good idea, I think if all of us could take a peek at it, it would be really
Yep.
wise.
I'll send everything out, and then in January, instead of focusing in on our inventory items, maybe we can get an update from the people who are absent today, and then also spend our meeting planning the planning, which is probably time to do, and then get official,
Yeah,
and then,
do you
get
think,
official, and then, and then the survey, that was the other thing we were gonna look at
yeah,
doing.
I will, look back and find out what was done before, we may decide we don't wanna do it that way or whatever, but at least it would give us a kind of a starting point, and I'll share it with all of you.
Yeah, if you can find the previous survey, it's useful. Even if you want a totally different format this time, it's useful to know what was asked before. and
Yeah, I know
Be
I have it.
prepared to respond if people ask, you know, why isn't it the way it was 10 years ago when I
Yeah.
filled this out? And, you know.
Yes, good idea, okay.
And this is what's inside that big file, a zip,
Wow.
and it's.
Oh, this is gonna be helpful.
So,
Yeah.
you see there's like a whole natural resources. and
It's
another
hugely
water
helpful, and
resources.
there's an introduction and a welcoming. We
This
don't
is-
even need to plan the planning, it's all right here, you guys.
That, I mean,
Yeah.
probably this should be our required reading for anyone joining the comp plan committee.
Yeah.
And Kim, do you want, yeah, how do you feel, I mean, would you want people to send you names of people they think might be interested or helpful, or do you feel like you've already been through that? I wasn't that involved in that.
No, I haven't been through that.
Okay,
I haven't been through,
I couldn't even remember how we all got invited or how that happened, but
I think I just reached out,
To
right? And then we
anybody,
put
I-
something, probably, I had
Just
something in the
posted a lot of
paper, right? I posted stuff on Facebook.
oh, Facebook, oh yeah. that's all.
Yeah, but,
Yeah, but anyway, maybe if we put out an agenda, if ahead of time, maybe you should say, hey, send me names for you to
Okay.
consider. I don't know, or maybe you think you've got enough already.
no, I don't know anything for sure, so.
I know we could use a few more natural resource people.
Yeah.
How many people do you have that are not here right now that have been active?
Well, Kevin, Alan,
Carl.
Carla, so, and Kevin and Alan are young guys. Younger than me, I mean, they're like 10 years
By
younger
my
than me.
standards, they're
They're like, yeah, they're like, you know, millennials. All right, we've got 2 millennials. We've got a boomer. We have, who else is there? Oh, Terry. I'm not gonna guess. Gen X, probably. Terry. And then some people who haven't been but have watched on YouTube, and that's Sabrina. Did she work with you on the transfer station?
In the beginning.
A bit. So, and someone who's expressed interest, she's a young mom, and
Sabrina who?
Papazinski.
I don't know.
And then Jody Carpet, Kevin's wife, again, probably another millennial. And, but no youth, we don't have kids. We don't have any.
And there were, when we had that meeting in the summer,
Then there were
Quite
probably
a
20
few.
people turned
Yeah.
out.
but they didn't, maybe we should, reconnect, but they're probably still on your email list, are they?
I think they all get the emails.
Yeah.
Yep.
But maybe
So-
You see who's
shout
coming
out.
every time, it tells you that.
But these are the people who I've heard from and who are coming mostly every time.
Yeah.
Katie's been here every time, Colin's been here every
Yeah.
time. Jason's been here every time. Anne's been here every time.
I missed one, I did miss one.
So you've got maybe 10 or 12 people.
Yeah, we have about a dozen people, but I don't know if that dozen people covers like the scope of what Wiscasset has to offer, you know? I think it's actually a pretty good representation though. But I like the idea of the youth, like having a kid from school. Maybe the youth person could be a rotating person as they graduate, because it sounds like this process might take.
Yeah,
You
it
know,
could be,
more
or
than
you could
a year.
consciously pick like a sophomore or at least a junior that is gonna be around for another,
Nathan,
rather than somebody who's gonna graduate in June.
right? Right, I guess we could do that. Yeah, that's a good idea. Okay, so next month we'll plan the planning.
Yeah, that sounds good, okay.
And then, is there anything else on this timeline and process for inventory update? I feel like we can keep chipping away at the inventory update
Yeah.
stuff and working at it. We can tackle that section together. I think I want to go in and like delete everything that's old stuff and just like keep working and updating on that section 6. But then at the same time, get back together next month and
What day would that be? That's the first Monday?
January 20th, 2020. 2020. I think it's third Monday. This is third Monday.
Third Monday.
Yeah. So, yeah, 2020. I can't believe it.
I know. It's insane.
It is insane. This is my year, 2020. I got a lot going on this year.
That's exciting.
Yeah. turn 50. Nothing. Get my master's degree, have my 20th wedding anniversary.
Wow, it is a big year.
Yeah, and it's a comprehensive plan.
Yeah, to add to your pleasures.
All right, is there anything else, guys? I'm sorry this meeting was longer than our other
All right.
meetings, but
That's what it takes.
this is just to
Thank
talk
you,
stuff
Pam.
out.
I'll get that thing in there, or ask for help doing it. I don't wanna just type over.
No, don't type it over.
I should be able to cut and paste.
Yeah, you can,
I need to learn how to do that, so I'll figure it out.
ask them, I don't know, Henry would like to help you. Yeah, Henry can help, Henry can do all this. All right, are we all done then? I'm gonna stop the thing.
We're all done.
Just always afraid something's
Thank you,
gonna
everybody.
disappear, you know what I mean? That's-
So you're gonna work on it, it's a copy anyway. So
Oh,
the
okay,
very
good.
worst case scenario is it goes back to the original document, she
Okay,
puts it back for you.
And
Right.
that's right. And the other thing is, it's cool about Google Docs is that your